We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bagman. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, please hit the like button. What is there to talk about today? I wonder. Let me begin by offering a brief acknowledgement of 9/11. I'm from New Jersey. My last name is Noble. Seating in parochial Catholic high school was done in alphabetical order. So if I'm Noble O'Grady, Andy O'Grady was either in front of me or behind me. And he was working on floor 108 on September 11th. So we're going to dedicate this show and all the passion behind it to Andy. And I'm going to be as respectful as possible of everybody's views of the world. However, I do have a few things to say. Now, let's welcome who's here. Let's talk about it. We have, who do we have? We have Richard Barry first on the stream. We have Willimeter with a super chat. Sir, I appreciate you. Yappy is here. Is inflation down? Yeah, inflation's down. Why is the market down? Bull Runner in the house giving some love to me and Eagle King behind the scenes. A1, pancakes and peanut butter in the house. Welcome. Willimeter, Andre, T-Pod. What's up? Andre is all in on 43K. Welcome. Okay, Ashton is here. Nothing stops this train. CLOS. The Fuzz Crypto. Frankie B with the notorious love from Twitter. Okay, Chase Wright. Fuzz Crypto. When Moon. We will discuss that. Is Bitcoin in trouble? I'm going to give you my answer. But before I do, I want to remind you that this show is brought to you by my Patreon. Patreon.com/unhinged crypto. If you think I got something to say today, well, wait till I get in Patreon for what we call 6th Street Crypto, which is like coaching, guidance, and everything you can't say anywhere else. And man, is there a lot to say? Is there a lot to say? So please go check that out. For the cost of Starbucks, you can sign up for my Patreon. And to all my Patreon subscribers, let me express my gratitude. This stream is also brought to you by LuxAlgo. This chart software has made my life easier. You can see the LuxAlgo affiliate link down below. This software called the top in JP Morgan. There are also links to the Patreon down below. Okay, welcoming who else is here? We have Zolani Tussle from Denmark. If you are from outside the United States, I will attempt to explain what happened yesterday. Patriot Caveman, A1. Okay. Can we get a presidential debate where we talk about crypto? Can we get a presidential debate where we talk about anything financial other than my former employer's research? So on that note, now it's time for the news. Okay. Now, you're probably wondering what I'm doing. And this is a specific fashion statement related to the debate from last night. Okay? So there are two candidates. One of them is on the right. One of them is on the left. One of them is known. One of them is unknown. The one that's unknown claimed that my former employer, okay, Goldman Sachs, wrote a research piece, according to her, endorsing her economic plan. Now, in fact, what really happened was that they just simply wrote a piece stating that this person probably implies more spending and government spending raises GDP. However, as a former employee of that company and having been a proud employee of that company, I found it extremely painful to listen to that comment go unchallenged. Hence my XGS fashion statement for the news today. Okay, it's literally like from the New Orleans Saints back in the 70s and the 80s when they couldn't win one game. The fans wore paper bags over their head. And you know what? I'm on YouTube, so it's Bagman doing the news today. Okay, so the good news is inflation fell 2.5%. The local grocery store across the street from me has got price cut on just about every item it can get it on, even if it's a 5-cent price cut, to stop this unbelievable consumer grocery store related depression, which of course probably has not reached the halls of Goldman Sachs and other places that, you know, the current administration dines or shops at. Okay, so here we are. Here's the reason for the bag. In the debate, the left was talking about a donor saying that she's better for the economy. And, you know, as this individual notes, you know, Goldman is counting transfer payments to people who have newly arrived as a part of GDP. So I don't think the analyst was wrong in what they did. However, I think it would be very interesting what kind of conversation is going to happen with the compliance people who cleared that research for publication. Yeah. Hope you have a not so good day. Now, on to the next fantasy, because the market has its fantasies, right? So let's talk about the debate, and then let's talk about the Fed. And I'm going to try to unshare the screen and, you know, give you the full paper bag experience. Don't let me forget to reshare the screen. So it was assumed going into today that there was going to be a capital markets friendly outcome to the election. Specifically, the orange man was going to get elected, cut corporate taxes, buy Bitcoin on the Treasury's balance sheet, and maybe follow RFK's advice and use Bitcoin to back treasuries, bonds, and maybe even the currency itself. In other words, after Bitcoin Nashville, crypto bros were assuming that there would be an election result that would result in the candidate pumping their bags on the phone immediately after they're taking their hand off the Bible at the swear-in ceremony. Now, last night, something happened, and I don't know if it's fully priced into the market. So let's discuss it. First of all, the candidate on the left came out prepared. She was specifically speaking to people in the middle who were perhaps unfamiliar with bigger issues other than the grocery store. And she came out prepared, nervous, caffeinated, and ready to fight. And the orange man acted like he didn't want to be there in the beginning. Now, eventually, after getting punched a couple times, as is the case can be in things like football and UFC, where someone underestimates their opponent, they kind of wake up when they get punched. They wake up. So the orange man wakes up, and what does he do? He reverts to his base instincts, right? So he got a little loud. He made a lot of funny comments. You know, he won the clip game. But as far as the debate goes, he didn't win. I'm sorry, he didn't. Now, was he entertaining? For sure. But I don't think you can say that he won. And then one of the byproducts of him not winning is that Taylor Swift came out and endorsed Harris. Now, this could be yet another reason to put a bag over your head. Just to tell you how powerful Taylor Swift is, Taylor Swift, when she toured in London, the Bank of England expressed concern that the influx of Swifties into London would actually hurt the inflation picture in the UK, as apparently there, huge demand for everything, people paying any price to be a part of whatever the Taylor Swift event was. So if she does an endorsement on Instagram, it stands to reason there are going to be follow-up appearances, concerts, rallies, interviews. So instead of Harris having to do interviews with Tim Waltz, can you imagine if she does it with Taylor Swift? Because Swift's people didn't endorse Harris to have Harris lose. So we now have a situation where you had a close race with the orange man in front, but now you have people who are new to the country with driver's license and Swifties all voting left with gusto. Now, I don't know about you, but this race is tied. We'll go over the graphics. It's tied at best. I've seen things as high as 6 points in favor of Harris. And your bags being pumped by the government can no longer be assumed. Not to mention people in equities have to get real right now about possible capital gains taxes or anything related to sort of eat the rich. And if I was sitting there in equities and my bags were at the top end of the range at all-time highs, I would be headed for the door. Now, as far as crypto goes, all right, what does crypto need? Well, crypto needs the 50 basis point goose, right? The Federal Reserve is meeting in the middle of the month after the lunar eclipse. People are going to want 50 basis points. They're only going to get 25. The only way they get 50 basis points is if the equity market gets wrecked in advance of the meeting, which, frankly, is possible. So on the subject of lunar eclipses, according to William Gann, who was a technical analyst back in the early 20th century, eclipses can have profound impacts on markets and create volatility. Sometimes it can create huge trends, right? Sometimes it can create, gigantic dumps. I've seen it with FTX. I saw it with the Bitcoin ETF. The lunar eclipse looms. It looms. Now, if you have a lunar eclipse and you have this debate thing, which to be honest with you, has not fully been traded. I always say the first move is always wrong. In this case, the first move is that there really wasn't a move. And I really hope that I'm wrong about this. I hope I'm wrong. But this is not a capital markets friendly outcome. Because whatever he did, while entertaining for people who like him, was going to do absolutely nothing to get that 3% in the middle. Nothing. Right? And I love the jokes about, the ducks and the kitties and, the people who are new here having barbecues, all great stuff. Okay, but I don't know that that's going to resonate with the 2 or 3% in the middle. All right, and as far as I'm concerned, he's got to do something to prove that he can move the numbers, because Harris now has Taylor Swift, and they want another debate in short order. Because no matter what anybody says, the orange man is not going to prepare for a debate. Like if he had some prepared answers for certain questions, he would have probably done a lot better. But that's not what he does. And they know that. So, this was a little bit like Hapkido martial arts. They used his strengths against him. And all she had to do was stand in there, right, and let the caffeine work. And guess what, people? We have a capital markets unfriendly debate outcome. We have a tied election. All right. And if it was tennis and it was deuce, it's advantage Harris. Okay, Boris is like, bye-bye. And that's possible. So Bitcoin is going to need a 50 basis point rate hike to get itself going. Okay. Now, I think it's obvious that people like Marjorie Taylor loved what the orange man did last night, because instead of being boring, he got aggressive. Again, I don't know that's going to move the needle with the middle. Now, meanwhile, back at the ranch, just in case you think this is not a big deal, this is a brief reminder. So over in the UK, our friends in England, they voted for the Labour Party for the first time in a long time. And that's that's kind of considered the left, possibly the far left over in England. And guess what? Now, if you say the wrong thing on Facebook, okay, you get a visit from the men and women in blue. And Alan Howard from Brevin Howard is talking about leaving London, which again, for a guy my age, is unconscionable because London has always been the financial center of the world. And now it's the 1984 novel that I read in high school. Yet another reason to wear a bag over my head. Okay, more on the debate. Harris managed to flip policies and sprint to the middle, which is what you're supposed to do. And she was unchallenged. They didn't challenge her. They did not challenge her on changing policy positions. The orange man was clearly on the defensive. Okay. And the odds have changed. We'll go over the charts. I have them in here. Okay. Betting Marcus sees Harris win over Trump. Hence this stylish mask. To think that investment bank research basically endorsed a possible Marxist philosophy. I don't know, man. Okay, so the orange man is not happy with ABC News. That's not a shock. Okay, this is a shock, right? In other words, Kennedy made a move to endorse Trump, spoiling Harris's convention speech. And Taylor Swift came out and just rocked the world. So is Bitcoin in trouble? Is Taylor Swift going to pump your bags? What happens if we have 4 more years of Gensler? What happens if we have 4 more years of worse than Gensler? Just saying, not trying to be down in the mouth. Most likely this will wind up being an epic dip to buy. Just with a lunar eclipse coming up, what could happen? How serious could this get? Serious enough for me to wear a bag over my head. Seriously. How much sleep did I get last night? None. Okay. And this, just in case you think I'm making this up or the media is making this up. Yeah. I mean, this is what circulated last night. During the debate, this happened. This happened, right? Shares of Truth Social down 11% in pre-market. Again, the market is making its vote. Okay, so this slide basically shows you that you do not want to be a duck or a cat in Springfield, Ohio. The orange man makes a great joke about it, but the great joke didn't get to the middle. CNN, a clear left-wing news outlet, had Harris winning the debate by 63%. Okay, and here is Taylor Swift with her cat. So she's sticking up for the cats and saying, if you're single and you have a cat, well, you know what? You can come on with me and my 281 million Instagram followers. Okay, so I would much prefer Taylor with some Bitcoin here, but we're going with the cat lady look instead. Also, a reminder, hackers are out. If your seed phrase is on your phone or your computer, get it off of there because they can read and search for seed phrases on your computer. Okay, Elon Musk, no doubt worried about what he saw last night, makes a silly and inappropriate comment to Taylor Swift in some kind of an attempt at damage control. Not only did they actually get the win, but they got the post-debate win because they wore earrings that happen to look like earrings that have microphones in them. And everybody on Twitter goes, oh, look, she's wearing a microphone. When the fact of the matter is, she wasn't wearing a microphone. Most likely, if she was, you wouldn't have been able to see it. And everybody on Twitter just simply gives it free advertising and flashes her face everywhere. So thank you for the Twitterverse for giving us free advertising. And Mr. Mechanical here on Twitter with something that could live for the ages. I say, this is not a market-friendly outcome. And Mechanical says, imagine surviving the bullets like Neo on the Matrix to lose it all by a Taylor Swift Instagram post. Let me tell you something. If you believe in Bitcoin the way I do, you could come up with a rationale that no matter who wins in the Oval Office, Bitcoin's going up anyway. It's either an alternative currency to the current insanity, or it's something that's going on the Treasury's balance sheet. So it's not like there's no bullish case for Bitcoin. It's not like there's no bullish case for crypto in general. But what are they going to do to this market if everybody exits equities, right? Like, this is a rug pull. Like, the bullish case, the tactical bullish case has been rugged. Now, hopefully, the market doesn't see this and doesn't get hysterical. Hopefully. Because obviously, I would not want that to happen. I'm already wearing a bag over my head. If I have to turn around and puke in this bag, well, obviously, that's not the preferred outcome. It really isn't the preferred outcome. Okay? Because I'm a huge believer in crypto. I just really can't believe what I just saw. I can't believe what I just saw. Right? Okay, so we're going back and forth, telling each other to shut up. Watch the big smile. Like, just watch it happen. See, it's now that's maybe nerves, but that's the orange man falling into the trap. Okay, Harris-Trump debate. Trump odds to win the election fall 3%. Okay, boy, I hope that's true. Now, on a bit of good news, a crypto asset that trades on Coinbase, Drift, is now on Multicoin Capital's liquid and VC fund. So these guys are buying a DEX derivatives on Solana. Finance will make its way to crypto. Hopefully, because we spur innovation, not because we're afraid of whatever is making me wear a bag over my head. Okay, now for your standard dose of Ethereum FUD, Vitalik is selling Ethereum, $9.8 million worth. I don't know why. The joke inside my head is that Vitalik has a girlfriend now, and he needs to maybe do some party and not spend all day in the developer lab, or that's what I'm telling myself. Stocks fall. Stocks didn't fall initially, but they are now. We'll check the tape in a second. Ethereum name service. People understand that they're going to need crypto for Christmas. Crypto ETFs are out, allowing you to invest in a combination of crypto and crypto companies. Totally ingenious. Totally. Okay, everyone is leaving the spot Bitcoin ETFs. I shudder to think what happens to this ETF if stocks go down. I'm trying not to think about it. Okay, Polymarket just updated now, has Trump ahead by a point. We'll see. Could a stockpile of Bitcoin protect against any type of dislocation lower? Yes, it could. Especially if it's like, oh my God, the sky is falling. We have a different type of administration than we expected. Why bearish may be the new bullish? Crypto hasn't pumped in a while. Are we close to a bear market? No, but we could be close to something that shakes everyone out, right? Like I said, hopefully this is Bitcoin down 2% and everybody thinks I just need a little therapy and a day off because of the bag on my head. I really hope that's what happens, right? I don't want to see this thing down 4, 5, 10%. I don't want to see it. Now, if it is, it's a huge shopping opportunity, obviously, right? Because I think we're going to like crypto no matter what. But the market's assumption, this is key, the market's assumption about what kind of capital markets regime you're going to have, are you going to have friendly or unfriendly? Those assumptions are now in question. Bitcoin hodler demand weakens, so that's not a surprise. Long-term accumulation continues, that's not a surprise, right? In other words, if Bitcoin goes back to like 51K or whatever, Okay. There's going to be people down there for sure. Right. I just think that this thing about the lunar eclipse creeps me out because, again, you know, people can get very emotional when that happens. Okay. U.S. presidential debate spurs risk off. Bubba, glad to see you too, brother. Glad to see you too. Okay. Trisha, more thinking that the orange man pulled out the debate. I think if you view the debate as like an argument and who got the best sound clips, I think that could be accurate. Okay. The question is, like I said, what is capital markets friendly in this situation? Okay. So now that we're done with the news, I can put on my crypto costume and put that thinking aside. So let's just go straight. Let's go straight to PowerPoint. I want to talk about some important graphs that are, in my mind, unbelievably important. This is a reminder. This show is brought to you by my Patreon, patreon.com/unhinged crypto. Check out the description down below. Also, check out LuxAlgo, an indispensable tool for this market. Believe it or not, the Bill Noble indicator is under construction in the LuxAlgo lab. Can you believe it? You know, I may have arrived. Okay. And Ronnie reminds you, you know, if you're in Ohio or in general, you know, keep the pets inside. Keep the pets inside. Okay. Now let's talk about the market update. Let's go back to macro. Okay. So believe it or not, this actually comes from the XGS chat room and my boy, Andy. God bless him for what he does. According to Real Clear Politics, you know, this thing flipped 51% Harris, 47% Trump. So a huge flip for Harris instantly. Now, the orange man did manage to make a comeback the last time Harris got a huge bump. But it's going to require discipline if there's another debate, right? In other words, Trump can have a huge rally. Trump can get all pumped up. You know, we know this guy can get pumped up. We know he does his best work when he's pumped up. But what about these people in the middle? You got Swifties and 7 million new voters who are going to go blue. Now, hopefully, this is a non-event. I kind of hope it is, because if you want a reason for the Fed to cut 50 basis points, I will give it to you. Let's go to good news. Let's talk about only good news from here on out. So this is an inflation index in China. So the blue means it's growing and things are hot. The red means deflation. So China is currently deflating. That's right. That's not an error or a typo. Deflating. Equities down only. Real estate. I mean, it has been breaking over there for a while. Now, China is deflating, and the last time China deflated was 1999, when China was 3% of global GDP. So if China deflates, you know, who cares? That's like a small U.S. state or a large U.S. state, 3% of global GDP. Okay, China is now 20% of global GDP, and it's deflating. And you're going to notice it when you go to the gas pump. Oil hit $66 a barrel yesterday. Now, oil down statistically is great for Bitcoin. Oil down means rate cuts, means happy Fed. I don't think they can do 50 basis points. But if there's a capital markets wreckage between now and the meeting, maybe they can. But they're definitely doing 25 because this is a mess. Okay. Now, this is JP Morgan. This is a bank stock, right? Long Bitcoin, short the banks. Banks fell out of bed yesterday because JP Morgan said people were too optimistic about earnings. Okay. Too optimistic about earnings. And just to remind you, Bitcoin after elections. Bitcoin goes up after elections, at least the last two. There's not a lot of history to work with, but at the end of the day, Bitcoin's probably going up no matter who wins. That's not really the issue. The issue is what happens now. Also, keep in mind, why is Bitcoin and altcoins down to begin with? Why are they down? Well, part of the theory is that someone's leaning on it on purpose because the orange man likes it. Are they going to let up off of that? I don't know. I don't know. Like, who's pushing the market down? And whose side are they on? But, you know, after the election, according to Milk Road, everything does okay. And that's the market update. Okay, so the market is doing better. Okay, I think Bitcoin is trying to go green. It's not green yet, but, you know, let's just go to live TA. Okay, Huckleberry Native is in the house. Welcome. Oh my God, Farmer Sam Forrest from Budapest, thinking the the UK may be in for some trouble. Randall is here. Welcome. Wow, comments on fire. When Lambo. Jay Mizzle makes the stream. Welcome. Daniel J likes the paper bag. Welcome. And if Bob Marsh is out there, welcome. Bob is a big follower of Unhinged Crypto, where we have kind of a more informal style. Okay. All right. Now, Aiken makes a good point before we go to live TA. He said, I thought you're supposed to sell the first rate cut. So this is a good thing to talk about. I have talked about it before. I don't mind doing it again. Traditionally speaking, when the Fed hikes rates, they over tighten, right? Which creates a problem in the system. And when they go to have to cut rates, it means there's something wrong. So if the Fed does a big cut, everybody goes, yay. But most likely it's been anticipated. And then everybody goes, oh no, there might be something wrong. And they sell. And that's what happened in 2007. That's what happened in 2000. Everybody saw the Fed cut and they were like, something's wrong. So people may be doing the same thing all over again, that if the Fed cuts rates, they're either admitting that they were wrong, which I think is what they would do if they did 50, which is why they'll probably do 25. But if they do 50, it is logical to assume that they could be acknowledging something is wrong. Now, when it comes to the Fed, would I be in the sell the fact mode? No, because crypto's already down. Like, crypto's already just gotten absolutely hammered. So, I mean, once the market saw like dovish language from the Fed and a rate cut, you know, I'm hopeful that that doesn't mean sell the fact. Now, even if it does, I think that dip's going to get bought. Like this dip this morning got bought, right? This looked like Bitcoin was going to go down 8% and Bitcoin bounced. I'm just going to pull up LuxAlgo here on a tactical chart in a second, right? Hopefully, whatever happened last night doesn't matter. I really hope it doesn't, because what should matter is oil down, the Fed, and the fact that whatever's going on in China means the Fed can cut rates like this once they get going. So let's go to live TA and check it out. Okay, so here's Bitcoin on an 89-minute chart. Okay. Try to get this chart as big as possible. You know, 55.6 was a LuxAlgo tactical support point. Oh, that was nice. Okay, ETH. All right, now here's what happens with ETH. There's resistance now at 23.48. So sometimes what LuxAlgo will do is, you know, it'll give you a couple support points like this one, but it'll put a roof over your head if the market starts going down or trending in one direction. So sometimes it can put support underneath and it can insert resistance above that may not be inherently obvious. So, you know, ETH has to do a little bit better. The fact that Vitalik is selling doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't. Okay, so I want to actually go to a 45-minute chart of Solana. Okay, you know, on a very short-term basis, Solana this morning was at basically what LuxAlgo would call equilibrium, which is a nice way of saying that the bag over my head was just for YouTube showmanship, and really nothing has happened here. Solana is like, yeah, meh. Okay. Let's go to the AI tokens that were up huge yesterday. Okay. Wait, no. Let's go to this one. Okay. So Fetch is not moving. The AI super token is holding. There is a 5-wave structure up here. And if you look at LuxAlgo, okay, this is a perfect A, B, C correction. So if you look at altcoins, if you look at this coin, they don't care about last night. They don't care. And you know what? That makes me happy. Okay, LuxAlgo is going A, B, C, and hopefully it holds together. You know, the other monster up move yesterday was ICP. Now, ICP has what you call an X wave down here. Okay, an X wave is a hint that there could be more correcting. So I love the fact that the market is trying to hold up here. I like the fact that, you know, these AI coins are not falling apart because they were up yesterday, but we got to go to equities, right? So NASDAQ's now up. So we'll look at NASDAQ futures on like a 45-minute chart. Again, we're just kind of like super zooming in just to see what the reaction is. Okay. So, you know, on one hand, it's a capital markets unfriendly outcome. On the other hand, they're just buying the dip and they don't care because that's what they do in equities. They buy the dip. And I would imagine that capital markets are going to be following Polymarket from now on. In other words, is the market going to go up? Is the market going to go down? Is going to be purely a function of what goes on in Polymarket. Seriously. So, I mean, if the capital markets friendly outcome, you know, takes the lead, like the market, this is now TA. This is it. Right. And this is going to be tied going all the way into the election day. And I would imagine this is what the market will be trading. This is what the market will be trading. Okay. You know, if I had to do TA on this, let's try a daily chart. Actually, let's just try S&P, right? Okay. So here's what S&P does normally, right? S&P will go down. Okay. S&P never goes straight down. Never. This is like an educational moment. This never goes straight down, right? So what S&P will do is it'll go down and it'll retrace either 62% or 76% of the move. And then you won't know what equities really want to do until it retests these points. Okay. So to be honest with you, I think the thing that's important to remember is we don't know if last night is going to have a big impact. Okay. Again, I think people are assuming their bags are going to get pumped. Stumbledore is in the house. Okay. You know, somebody says Stumbledore with the super chat, sir. I appreciate that. Yeah. It was so bad. He was kind of wondering if he did it on purpose. That's how bad it would be. Oh my God. The professionals in the house, Crypto Blood, welcome. Somebody I definitely listen to and admire in the space, right? All right. Aiken is not concerned about politics. Okay. Neither is my business partner, Toby. Okay. Richard Barry, another up and coming great guy in the space. Bitcoin Cash is performing well on short-term time frames. Let's look at Bitcoin Cash. You know, as much as I like Bitcoin Cash, you know, the box of chocolates under the bed, right? I love my Bitcoin Cash. I love my Zcash. You can even maybe talk me into some Litecoin, although maybe less so lately. Okay, so you got a 5-wave structure on a very short-term chart. Okay. Bitcoin Cash is trying to do well. Let's see what's going on in Zcash. Okay, Zcash was up big yesterday, and then it kind of comes off. You know, the thing that bugs me is this. You can't see it probably, but This is what they're building the Bill Noble indicator on. It's called an X wave. When you get an X wave, you get more correction. In other words, it's not an end to the correction until it's an end of the X waves. This is Zcash on a 45-minute chart. Again, not stuff that's going to last forever, but we're looking for something. We're going to change the time frame now. We're looking for something where we can say, okay, this is or is not capital markets friendly. Now, that said, Zcash is back down to where I started talking about it 3 years ago. Zcash went from 15 to 40. Everyone thought they missed it, and then it cracked all the way back down to the 20s, and it's still below 30. By the way, just in case you don't think you need privacy, yeah, maybe you want to watch some of the show last night, and yeah, think about that. Just saying. Like, privacy has not had its day yet, and somebody could wake up tomorrow morning and go, you know what? We need privacy. You know what else we may need? Speed. Like, XRP has already been through the regulatory ringer. So if there's a regulatory hostile regime in Washington, XRP has already gotten through that. Now, I do like the fact that Rune is not down that much. Okay, I think this is very clearly a cup and handle in Rune. So, again, if you look at the market bottom up, like if you look at Fetch or you look at Rune, this is okay. It's fine. It's not a disaster. Okay. But, we don't want to have any downside in stocks. I want to look at the Bitcoin ETF. Okay. So this is IBIT daily. So you're going to notice a few things about the Bitcoin ETF, right? Okay. One, people need to buy it anyway. I really do think so. I mean, I don't know what the case is for equities here, honestly. Okay. There's resistance in IBIT at 33. That's the short term. But the great thing about IBIT is that this thing retraced where it started from back in the day, right? Back in the day, as in when the ETF first came out. You actually got 2 shots to get IBIT at essentially 100% retracement of the whole ETF rally. So if you want to know something positive, okay, yes, there is resistance here. Yeah, there is. And man, would I love to see this thing turn around. Like, I would love to see up on the orange man and up only on any hint of the continued fiscal insanity that we have now. In other words, if it really doesn't matter, and Bitcoin says, I'm impervious to all this, I don't care. In other words, this is a part of a theory that, my business partner has, that this whole thing is going to decouple, that Bitcoin doesn't care about stocks. Bitcoin doesn't care about politics. Bitcoin doesn't care. Bitcoin's going up. And you know who would say that is Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor's like, hey, you're going to sell Bitcoin because of the debate? Okay, great. I'll take it from you. That's the good news. That's the good news. The bad news is that, again, people who don't like you or crypto have got an advantage, and people are placing bets right now, and that's fine. Let the market speak. Another thing that's in favor of Bitcoin, more than likely, is the fact that regional banks are breaking down. So, you're noticing that regional banks, this is KRE. So if you remember Silicon Valley Bank, this is the same type of banks, except it's an ETF and an index. So this is a clear trend line break. Big banks are also down again this morning, perhaps oversold. Or if we look at a weekly chart, yeah, okay, big banks, Big banks were not able to get through resistance. This is BKX monthly. So this is where JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, so if you want to do something this morning, if you want to be like, okay, Bill, okay, thank you for entertaining us with your paper bag mask, but tell me something bullish. I got something bullish for you. How about long Bitcoin, short the banks? The banks have got enough problems. They cannot handle the uncertainty of an unfriendly administration. They can't. Because if you thought Slow Joe was a little bit on the left, people, I got a lot of news for you about the voting record of the person who won the debate last night. That is not capital markets friendly. But if it creates a disturbance in the banks, that's what brings in the Fed. Like, if you want to see how the Fed gets in, this is how the Fed gets in. This is how the Fed comes in with it's like a triple shot. This is what happened in 1998 when a big hedge fund failed. Long-term capital management, 50, 50, 50. They had to do them all in a confined space. You have a problem with a bank? Like I said, when JP Morgan came out yesterday and said people may be overly optimistic about our earnings, I'm like, is that so? By the way, Jamie's been selling that stock like Buffett, and Buffett sold more Bank of America stock. Just in case you're wondering about what these guys think about the world, right? They are headed for the door. Okay, here's JP Morgan on an 89-minute chart. And one thing that I would note is that there's no bounce. So they took out, they took out a month's worth of upside in like a matter of days, and there's no bounce. None. Okay. So you want to do long Bitcoin, short the banks? Okay. Do you want to dive into risk assets today? I don't think so. I don't think so. So let's just go back. Hopefully, by the way, if you like the live TA style commentary news together, feel free to comment down below or comment in the stream. Okay. All right. So we can definitely read this. I like this. Let's see what he says. So Stumbledore, a new name, says, Harris impressed me. I'm an RFK guy. Okay. She took the time to prepare. Okay. Yeah. The network had it, slanted against him, but the guy had a lot of missed opportunities. And again, what kind of impact is this going to have on your bags? I don't know if it's been fully traded, but they're sorting it out now as we speak. So again, back to S&P. Okay. This is the 89-minute chart of S&P. And this will be relevant multiple days in the future, because as we watch the debate reaction, we're going to say, is the first reaction wrong? A lot of times it is. Okay. So maybe this down move is wrong. Maybe the down move's not big enough. I don't know. Okay. People are going to assume, equities will assume the best. Crypto may assume the worst. And man, isn't it beautiful to see Bitcoin come back? I mean, if this thing dipped to 55K and then comes screaming back, honestly, I don't know what could be more bullish. What could be more bullish if you get a capital markets unfriendly debate and Bitcoin goes up anyway? This is something I have not considered. So if you're watching this 3 days from now, you have a bag over your head debate performance. You're afraid that Bitcoin's not going to become a strategic reserve asset, and they buy it anyway. We can only dream, us crypto bros. We can only dream. Okay, let's review a few things. You got a lunar eclipse coming up. You're going to have really intense volatility. The market has made it perfectly clear that selling weakness and buying strength has not worked. Traders are still in charge of the market. Now, come November, I don't think it's going to matter for Bitcoin who the winner is. Matter of fact, at this point, if a capital markets friendly outcome comes out of the election, Bitcoin could go up all the more. Bitcoin from this point out, I would imagine, at least for this week, is going to move on Polymarket, stocks, and possibly Taylor Swift, right? In other words, if you're not taking that seriously, I would encourage you to rethink your position. I would also like to remind you that failed rallies particularly with how equities work, you do not want to see a failed rally, right? Like, in other words, the worst thing that could happen for Bitcoin is that Bitcoin could do what it did and go like down 4%, come back to unchanged, and then fail badly. A range, fine. Sitting here, slumping, doing nothing, I mean, that's what we've been tolerating. Now, if you want some additional good news, this is the 1-year anniversary of the low. So if you go back in Bitcoin, let me just share the screen. So I'll take the ticker off the screen. Okay, so this is a reminder to turn on alerts so you know when we're going live and we're posting short videos. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to live TA this, and I'm actually going to show you. I'm going to go through all the scrolling and everything because it's worth it to show you what the low looked like last year at this time. Okay, it's worth showing. So this is Bitcoin from the summer of 2023. Okay. Now, here we have a huge puke in August. So believe it or not, last year, they had their own version of Black Monday. It just happened in the middle of the month. So this is August 17th, right? Okay, this failed rally and decline was right around the first part of September near Labor Day. So they had their they had their SEP1 puke like we did. Then the final low, right? Which, you know, frankly, at this point, we're being spared because I don't see any case for sub 50 Bitcoin at all. Even if it's not a capital markets friendly outcome. Okay. Bitcoin dropped and bottomed, believe it or not. The absolute bottom was 9/11 of 2023. And then what happened after that, just so you know, is the market during the month of October, like Bitcoin managed a 15% gain between 9/11 and early October. So interesting that Bitcoin was actually able to get off the mat. And then, of course, as you may be aware, once the September bottom was in, the September bottom was a joke, and Bitcoin went from a low of 24 to a high of 38 by Thanksgiving. That's what happened last year. And you know what? I don't think this is that much different. You know, truthfully, if you look at the fear, like I don't know what created the 9/11 bottom last year. But listening to somebody say that my former employee endorses a very outside the box economic plan, you know, on the anniversary of, you know, my friends perishing, that would qualify as upsetting for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, am I making the low here by wearing a paper bag over my head? You know what, people? I hope so. I hope so. Right? Because you know what? At the end of the day, we all want what's best for crypto. We want what's best for us. We want to see the things that make us free. Right? Like, where's that Bobby Kennedy rhetoric? We need some of that. We need some of that positivity. Right? But please make no mistake about it. Right? The people who are currently in power, they know what they're doing. And anybody who's ever done martial arts or sports, it's very simple. You better respect your opponent, right? In this case, our opponent, I think, is people who don't like crypto and any wild expectations that we have that it's the government's job to pump our bags. It's no one's job to pump our bags. Mr. Market has to come in and say, yeah, we want this. So if you have a political candidate and you're expecting some kind of outcome from an election, we got 50 days, 50 days until that happens. And Polymarket is the market going forward. Is there a case for Bitcoin? Yes. Does the dollar have to go lower? Yes. Does the Fed have to cut rates dramatically to stave off a major problem from like contagion from China and problems in our banks? Yes. Yes. Okay. These things work in favor of Bitcoin long term. Between now and the lunar eclipse on September 17th, 18th, that is a wild card. Now, what should you do during that period of time? For Unhinged Crypto, for our Patreon, okay, we're gonna work on a special report. You know, we're gonna pick up, it's like 20 altcoins for the long term. In other words, can you imagine if you go back to this graph, right? This is what I missed last year. If you had been looking for altcoins, because they dipped it again at the end of the month, right? In other words, they tested, they tested their crash low from over here. They tested it in mid-September, late September, right? So you want to have a shopping list ready. In other words, this is going to be a test of your belief in crypto. Like, do we need a leader in Washington to pump our bags, or can crypto go up by itself? I'll answer that question. Crypto can definitely go up by itself. Sure, it can. It absolutely can. But the thing is, are you going to get shaken out between now and the eclipse? Okay. Friends, I appreciate my Patreon subscribers. Huckleberry Native, T-Bone in the house. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Rod says, crypto is bigger than politics. Okay. Huckleberry Native says, Bitcoin pumps when we know who runs the world. You know what, sir? I don't doubt that. And Tussle says, love the stream. This is a reminder to hit the like button on the way out. People, stay strong out there. Stay strong in crypto. Be prepared. Lunar eclipse. We'll see you next time.